Hi all, the old geek here, and in this video I'm going to branch out a little. Bit of a clue behind me. Up until now, most of my videos have been reviews and discussions of old school products, mainly modules. In this video I'm going to give my opinion on 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So apologies in advance to my regular viewers who are right now reaching for the off button. Let's start with a bit of a ramble. A bit of background. I ran a game of 5th edition over Roll20 last night. I do use a number of house rules though to shift the feel of the game to be a little more old school. So why am I using 5th edition for that game when I prefer older editions? 3 of the 5 players in that group played in the AD&D campaign that I refer to often in my review videos. There's another player who is quite well versed with 2nd edition, and the 5th player is quite new to the hobby. When I ran the AD&D campaign at a physical table, I didn't teach my players most of the rules. None of them read the Dungeon Master's Guide, and core mechanics are not in the player's handbook. And to me, this is the purest way to play. It's up to me, the DM, to deal with the mechanics. I just want the players to work with their imaginations. But this brings a problem when playing online. It takes longer to deal with dice rolling in online play, and that is made worse when the players are unsure of what to roll and what bonuses they have, etc. At the table, that's all in my head. I can recite many of the tables verbatim. I can adjudicate about 90% of all dice rolls in an instant. So for us, AD&D flowed nicely at the table, but I found it frustratingly clunky in Roll20 when the players had to start thinking about what they were rolling. 5th edition is better supported in Roll20. The unified D20 mechanic, along with advantage and disadvantage, makes it simpler to pick up. The default character sheets supplied in the software are very simple, and I would like eventually to return to running AD&D at the gaming table in the manner in which we did previously. I don't want my players to read all the mechanics for AD&D. Thus, for our online play, 5th edition it is, with that group anyway. So, what do I actually think of 5th edition? I've already said that I house rule it, so clearly it's not perfect for me. Far from it. I will openly state now, and I'm not edition warring, I'm just giving a straight opinion, that I love 1st edition and basic and expert, and Beck me. I also enjoy core 2nd edition AD&D, but not all the later revisions. I prefer it just with the original core books. And I dislike 3rd, 3.5 and 4th editions for a variety of reasons. I place 5th edition firmly in the middle. But in an effort to be balanced in this video, I'm going to present my opinions in the form of 5 positives and 5 negatives. And I'm going to start with the positives. 1. 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons is a great way to introduce new people to the hobby. The most basic form of the core rules are free to download, and at low levels the game is very simple. It runs quickly and smoothly, and is fine played theatre of the mind or with minis both on a grid and not on a grid. I hate grids, I won't play with them. Online play, the support available is excellent. It's easy to find games, there are loads of people playing it online and in shops. So, number 1, it's an ideal way to find out what a role-playing game is. Positive number 2. While 3rd edition was the one that favoured and encouraged the mechanical theory crafters, and 4th edition had the effect of making D&D feel a bit like a tactical board game. 5th edition has pulled back from those approaches, making character creation more simplified and streamlined, and allowing for other styles of play other than the board game approach. This is a nod, and an intentional one, to those of us who played the older editions. But, in my opinion, here 5th edition didn't go quite far enough, and certainly after the initial 3 core books it has begun to slip a little more towards the 3rd edition way in terms of character mechanics. But overall, the simplification is a positive step, and of course all these later books are optional, or at least they should be. Number 3 is a very quick point. I'll keep it brief. Advantage and disadvantage is neat. It's easy. It's perfect for casual groups. There's a lot less to remember, and it helps the game to flow at the table, and that is important. So that's number 3. Number 4, bounded accuracy. It keeps the numbers in check, and like advantage and disadvantage, the calculations are kept simple. It also stifles the game's arms race somewhat, which, with 3rd edition in particular, could get out of control. Monster types stay relevant for longer, making life easier for the DM, which allows adventures to evolve more gradually. It also gives the players less of a carrot to go chasing the big bonuses, thus nudging them towards thinking a bit more about their characters and the environment in general rather than the mechanics. And finally, number 5, character backgrounds. These are a neat way to bring depth to PCs, with suggested flaws, ideals and goals, and mostly minor and flavourful enhancements. There are a few that I don't like, as I feel they cheapen aspects of the game that I want to encourage, but in general, backgrounds are a highly positive feature. Okay, so there are the things I like about 5th edition. Now for the dirty stuff. The section that might get a few fans of the system gnashing their teeth and reaching for the dislike button. I'm going to list these flaws, or the ones that I feel are flaws, in the order that I realised how much they annoyed me. So this is a chronological list rather than one done in degree of level of annoyance. You might notice that some of these annoyances are aspects of 4th edition that were kept in 5th edition. And there are a few other things about the system that annoy me that didn't make this list. Number 1. The first thing I found annoying, and I find it irritating to this day, whack-a-mole combat. You know the Chumbawamba song? I get knocked down, I get up again, ain't ever gonna keep me down. I saw them live several times in Leeds as a support act many years ago. Yep, with the array of healing options, especially healing word, I hate that spell. This is how combat feels to me. It makes it feel like a video game or a cartoon. It ruins any sense of game immersion. I'll do a video on my house rules at some point to list how I've tried to change this. Gripe number 2. Everything feels magical. So much so that magic loses its wow factor. With magic-like powers, unlimited cantrips, especially those that deal damage, and recharging magical items. You no longer see mages desperately reaching for their daggers. Clerics can spam guidance to help with almost everything, and warlocks just throw Eldritch Blast after Eldritch Blast. It's dull. The spell descriptions are over-codified, which to me strips away some of the creativity that came with spellcasting in AD&D and basic D&D. I prefer spellcasters to have fewer spells at their disposal, but for the ability for those spells that they do have to have a greater impact. Again, I've house ruled some stuff here too. Number 3. The fact that PCs start to feel like superheroes very, very quickly. By the book, level advancement is way too rapid. And I hate milestone. Milestone, no thank you. The power jumps that PCs get around levels 5 and 6 typically are obscene. And I can only wince at what it would have been like if there wasn't the bounded accuracy in play. Again though, I do have house rules to help with this and slow things down. Number 4, and this is where I start to offend people. The culture around D&D at the moment. Focusing with number 4 on the books. Wizards of the Coast know that they can sell more books by churning out lots of options for players. This creates work for the DMs who might want to maintain a certain tone or feel to their campaign. It's probably an online thing too, but the moaning I see on forums from players complaining about DMs restricting them, how all options should be available, is ridiculous. No, they should not. It is up to the DM what goes in the game. Any experienced gamer will know that logical restrictions breed creativity. They don't stifle it. And if the game is constantly an over-fantastical melting pot, then it can quickly become stale. But try getting that through to the eager new players with their shiny new toys. The Forgotten Realms was never my favourite setting. In my opinion, it's now a nigh on unplayable system or setting if you want a campaign with a degree of verisimilitude. And finally, number 5, one that has come to the fore more and more in the last couple of years. Wizards of the Coast and their activism. The content warning they put on old PDFs. Gaming has always been an inclusive hobby, attracting people who are a little bit different. There's no need for the constant pounding of the modern social message in every single product. Representation should be organic and natural, not forced. And here's one final thing. I'm open about me having a hidden disability. This disability makes it very hard for me to adapt to change. By pounding these changes down my throat and the throats of people like me, you are therefore actively excluding me. Think about it.